Good afternoon. Welcome to our Utilities Committee meeting. It's Monday, May 2nd, 12 o'clock on the dot. We have a 2-item agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, and we are unanimous. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so there's 2-item agenda. We have first water main maintenance and repair. Zach Ruff. Will Zach be taking the floor from here?
Yes, click on share screen.
Okay.
And click on your presentation. On the left, yeah, just say share over on the right. And then click on, go to the top. To the left, right? Right there. Put it down, oh, yeah, from the beginning.
Look at the draw.
There you go. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes, we can.
So I'm Zach Ruff, the City of Lacey Maintenance Shop. I am in charge of running the water maintenance and repair crew. We do various repairs from small leaks to large main breaks. And about any sort of repair or maintenance that needs to be done to the water system. So I have to just click out. Yeah. So there are, there's 7 journey levels in the position, myself being the senior tech, and then Matt Buchanan, Scott Beery, Jesse Ang, Lance Hooker, Michael Martin, and Chris Millis. We currently have a vacant position as someone has left the city. All these guys are really talented at what they do and are able to do the job to completion well. So some of the programs and tasks that we have are water main service line repairs, water service connections, installations, replumbs, meter box replacements, valve inspections, maintenance and repair of valves, hydrants and inspections, and the maintenance and repair of hydrants. We do large water meter installs, basically 1 inch and up to 6 inch even. We install new blow-offs and do maintenance on those air releases and assist with water quality sampling stations. So this is a picture of a water main break that happened out in Panorama City. The one thing with Panorama is a lot of the water mains are actually behind houses or back in areas that are hard to get to. Luckily, this one wasn't too bad. It was just offside the road. They do cause a lot of damage and mess to clean up. This was 6 inch asbestos pipe, and it just was a failure of the pipe from age and old material. So depending on the size and complexity of a job, a water break may require a number of staff members and many pieces of heavy equipment to complete, or just a shovel and a couple of technicians. Most water main leaks or repairs, we generally have the water off and repaired in about an hour. So our response time is really good. The water is generally off really quickly, less than an hour, and it's often restored and back on in an hour. So this was a water main break that happened in Woodland Square. A contractor was putting a telecommunications line and shot a underground missile through our water main, and it lost pressure to a lot of the Lacey business district. That was a 12 inch main, if I remember right. Was another quite a mess. So water mains and service line breaks can be caused by physical damage such as a contractor, or someone digging through a line, pressure spikes in the main systems. Roots are a big one that we fight anymore, especially if we're Tree City, USA. That's just one of the things that, you know, as we have trees, the roots like to follow the condensation that's formed from the water lines, and they like to crimp them off or break the lines. Corrosion, material failure, even a little water leak adds up to be a lot of water in a short amount of time. So we also do installation of new water services for new construction at times. We do taps for the main. We will do replacement of existing water services when they have valves that are leaking or they have reached a point of being almost inoperable or would be very difficult to shut off in case of an emergency for a homeowner. Meter boxes are often replaced. That's something we do on a fair amount. As you can see in the picture to the right, you can see the roots that have encased that service and broken and crushed the meter box. Often the boxes are in paved areas or sidewalks or in planter strips that as they're broken, or they can be considered a trip hazard or be dangerous. So we try to get out and replace those as quickly as we can. So we do at times large valve replacements or valve replacement. These were two 12-inch valves and a 10-inch valve. This was actually out in front of City Hall at College and 6th Ave. And the valves that were pre-existing had broken and they were at an age where you weren't able to get repair parts for them. So we had to replace them completely. The city has over 14,000 valves in the water system. We inspect every valve in the system about every 3 years. At that point, as the valves are discovered to have any problems, we dig them up, we either find parts and we're able to replace them with parts, or we replace the valves completely. That way we have operable valves in case of emergency and we need to shut things down. So fire hydrants, we have over 4,000 fire hydrants. There's 10 different brands of hydrants in our system. So the guys on the repair crews have to know the different styles and different parts that go into all of them. They all have a little bit of differences for them. And these guys have become very skilled and capable of repairing these and replacing them. So air releases are installed at high points of the water system to let air out of the mains, and blow offs we install for flushing of water mains for stagnant dead end lines. So yeah, as this department, we end up with a lot of special requests or special projects. It can often be regrading a parking lot for an area, or doing some site clearing, or doing stuff for engineering so that they can get an idea of what's there before, so they can design a project. We kind of we're very much maintenance, not construction crew, but it tends to lean towards construction type of work a lot of the time. So use of ditch boxes and heavy equipment is a commonplace thing. So here's some facts of things that we do in an average year. This was last year, so we did 67 water service line repairs, 15 main breaks. There was 173 hours of standby. There was 127 water taps and replumbs that we did. 109 meter boxes that were replaced, that were damaged. Customer service calls, 195 of those. 79 hydrant repairs. 36 valve repairs and new pads poured for 100 or 251 air release valves that we serviced and ensured were working correctly. We exercised 2,478 of the city's valves of that 14,000. And we have a critical valve list that we do every year, which is 892 critical valves, which are on our main trunk lines of the water system, that we ensure that those work every year. We did 3,904 hydrant and hydrant valve inspections and exercise. And that's my presentation. Any questions?
Could we stop the screen share, please?
What was that?
Could we stop the screen share, please?
Oh,
Thank you.
There, Melissa.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate what you guys do out there. It's dirty work, and I would imagine sometimes it's not very gratifying, especially if you're standing in a big mud puddle trying to clean stuff up. But nevertheless, I really appreciate what you folks do and the value that you bring. Definitely a lot of work going on there. Does anybody have anything that they want to share with the group?
Yeah, so I was aware of that big water main break in Woodland Square. Wasn't that the old bank and kind of by the little strip mall there, right?
yes.
For Citizens, right in that little area.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how many gallons that was, but oh my goodness, the whole parking lot was crazy.
Behind the building, it was about 6 feet deep of water. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
The picture of the car that hit the fire hydrant, how long did that take to clean up?
That's really pretty quick. The hydrants have a design breakaway in them so that they snap off and they don't damage the below ground piping.
Okay.
So doesn't, it gives when a car hits it and it doesn't do the, person damage either.
Right.
Other than their vehicle. So we're able to just go out, shut the valve off so that there's not a problem for that. And then we can return either that day or in a few days, and we can generally do a hydrant repair of those in an hour or two.
Oh, that's not bad. So
The
they're
geyser that
designed
comes
to anticipate
Up at it was
that
pretty.
sort of abuse.
Yeah.
That's good. That seems like it would be cost effective too.
That's a very impressive list, considering we were in a pandemic still and all that. So I just want to express my appreciation for all you do.
Great. Any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next topic of discussion, water shortage response plan.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Lindsey Fields. I'm a water resource specialist in the Water Resources Department and Public Works. We're going to be talking and I'm going to be updating you about the water shortage response plan for 2022. Actually, about maybe 2 months ago, it's been we've kind of had this ongoing conversation about the water shortage response plan, what has been working for us in the past, and maybe what needs to be updated to reflect the needs of the city and also the needs of our customers. So there's going to be a few changes this year, but mostly it's going to be exactly the same. We still use P3 numbers and all of that good stuff. So I'll just start at the beginning and work our way around. So the WSRP, or Water Shortage Response Plan, is a tool and a guide for the city of Lacey in the event of a weather-related water shortage, natural or human-caused disaster, and other water system operating emergency. Basically, it's just a list of procedures and steps that we can take to minimize the effects that our customers feel from, emergency situations, but also tools that we can use to mitigate those emergencies as well and continue to provide access to clean and safe drinking water. The goals of this plan are to maintain essential public health and safety services. That's probably our number one goal in an emergency. Minimize negative effects on public safety and minimize adverse impacts on the local economy, the environment, and the lifestyle of Lacey's water customers in times of emergency water shortage. Obviously, the number one goal is to maintain public health and safety, but we also want to make sure that our customers aren't impacted in such a way that it causes a lot of issues and problems, especially around irrigation. We want to make sure that folks can maintain their lawns and the money they put into their landscaping, but at the same time ensuring that we have public safety and health as our number one goal. So all of our water is supplied from groundwater. We do not have any surface water in the city, and so we're actually not vulnerable to short-term drought conditions like other places might be. But there are some things we're vulnerable to that require us to have a plan like this in place. Drought conditions followed by low fall winter precipitation and maybe over like a longer term period. And in the parentheses, you'll see like 6 months or longer. So this is like the time frame that potentially we could fill the drought conditions. If we have a really hot or maybe dry summer followed by a really dry fall and winter over a prolonged period of time, then that's going to lag and we're going to fill that maybe the next year or the next 2 years. Unusually dry or warm weather sustained over the summer months. That's immediate mostly because once it gets really hot and once it's not raining a bunch, people might start to use and irrigate their lawns and their gardens and their landscape more. So we're going to see more production and more customer use than our wells getting really low. Unexpected failure of our water system components is always something we have to plan for. Zach was just talking about water main breaks. So we have to plan for those kind of things. Natural or human caused disasters that could be sudden and direct, and then contamination of some portion of the water supply. So in this document, you'll see this thing called a P3 number. The P3 number is just present possible production. And so that's a number that we can, I want to say this right. So every day we get how much water use there was or how much water was produced from the previous day. And so if all of our wells are pumping 21 hours a day, there's this number that we can get, which is how much water we can produce to safely give everyone water and also supply things like irrigation for us at the city and for our customers. And this value is represented by 1 million gallons per day. And then current demand, you'll see that in the document as well, is the amount of daily water produced from wells and from storage for the previous day. And so that's just the number that currently is in demand at our wells. And so here's some updates that we talked about. We had some really great conversation around the document itself. And it is a dynamic document. So throughout the season, you might see updates to this on the website. And that's just so we can react to wells either having to go offline due to regular maintenance or issues encountered, or wells coming back online that maybe weren't online before the season started, which is June 1st. And so 2022 changes, we reorganized the format, and that's to make it easier to read, but also easier to update. We took out a lot of the redundancy in putting the triggers for each step and stage throughout the document and kind of made one table in a couple of places. And so that's actually for my position too. So I'm not missing numbers. I can make the update more fluid and get it out there as faster as well. We rearranged stages and steps. And so actually in stage 2, we just combined the steps because we found there really wasn't a need to have different steps within that stage. Just based on our experience with this document and based on our experience of water use in the past, few years with this document, we just found that stages and steps in stage 2 could just be combined into one stage. Added updates to reflect the city's current organizational structure. So we added some language in to include the assistant city manager in stage 1 and stage 2. And then we also added language to help direct our communications in an emergency situation. one thing we found in this document was there's a need to work with public affairs better to maybe create a communication plan or some sort in the case of an emergency. How do we get the word out the best way, but also the fastest way? So there's going to be a bit of lag time if we ever hit an emergency situation where we need folks to stop irrigating. And so we found that this document didn't really provide the best course of action or even really a lot of language around that. And so those are some of the changes we made. And then to update you, so as of now, the P3 number is 18.86 million gallons per day. So like 18 million gallons a day. Every year we hit the advisory stage. So we're in stage 1, or we will be June 1st, which includes the mandatory watering schedule or odd even. The internal action stage, which is stage 2, will be 80% of P3 for 3 consecutive days. And 80% of the P3 would be about 15 million gallons a day. Mandatory stage. So in the internal action stage, we take a lot of steps to reduce our water use at the city. So our customers don't feel that so early on. And we will hit stage 2, usually maybe once a summer. Since I've been here, we've kind of went to stage 2. Since I've been here, we haven't hit stage 3. Which means we haven't hit stage 4 either. But again, this is a planning document. So
how long, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
how
No, go ahead.
long have you been here? Just
Oh,
for point of reference.
Yeah, no, I've only been here for 3 years, but Ed
Okay.
has been here for
Long enough.
long enough, and Pete has been here for long enough, and I don't know if we've had a stage 3 situation, maybe like a couple of times.
Back in the early 90s, we had a situation where we were right up close to stage 4. We had well 7 was down, and we were driving around town telling people to turn their sprinklers off and knocking on doors. So I think that was 1995.
So a couple of decades ago. But yeah, so, for overall, we do a great job.
I have a question.
Yep. Go ahead.
So when we hit stage 2, was that because of maintenance, or, were the wells, our reservoirs empty or anything like that out of the ordinary?
Yeah, I think it was, so my first year managing the WSRP, or looking at the numbers, we had like 2 or 3 of our source wells not online yet. And so we had a much lower P3 number. And so the stage 2 internal action was a lot lower as well. I want to say it was around like 14 million gallons a day. And on a hot day, especially in July and August, we can hit that just through water usage, like irrigation. So that's what that was. And then I think they ended up coming back online like mid-August, and we didn't have an issue after that. Great. And so, yeah, and then stage 3 and stage 4, mandatory and emergency stage. Stage 3 is 90% of P3 for 3 days, or 95% of the P3 for 1 day. And the same goes for the emergency stage as well. 2 different ways we can hit that. And then I always like to plug in the mandatory watering schedule, because it is a form of control we have over, every year we have this, and it's a way for us to mitigate these water usage issues before it becomes mandatory or an emergency. Yeah, and I'm sure you're all well aware, but odd and even, if your address ends with an odd number, it's Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And then even numbers, you'd be watering Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Friday is a non-watering day for everyone. And in the WSRP, you will see in like the emergency stage, we have a tool to reduce this even more to like 2 days or even 1 day, if we feel it's necessary. Although we do like to, say again, we like to take actions here at the city so that in turn our customers aren't feeling it as much. But in an emergency situation, we could reduce the watering days. And I think that is the end of my presentation, and I will stop sharing. Any questions?
Thank you. Well, I hope that we don't peak out that bad. Every summer it is a concern. It just depends on what the weather is doing and what people are doing with their water. But it seems like we have a handle on it, and we know how to react if it does get to mission critical. Is any questions from the council?
Yeah, so is the construction of the smaller of the two reservoirs, so out at Hawks Prairie, so they can maintenance the bigger reservoir, is that completed? Have they started the maintenance on the big reservoir yet?
No,
Nope.
they still have to they have to paint and fill and disinfect the new sister tank, the smaller reservoir. So that's coming in the next few months.
Okay, I was gonna say it's safe to say that we're not gonna do, take the big one offline in the middle of summer when the peak. Okay, yeah, probably wait till winter. All right, awesome. Well, that's great. For especially up there. I lived up there for a lot of years up until last year, from 2005 on, and I think that'll help with water pressure and everything. But that's just Lacey investing in its infrastructure and ultimately bettering its services for the residents and ratepayers. So good job.
Carol, anything from you? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a little unrelated, but I think it's sort of a more down the line question, and that is, I think we've all been trying to keep an ear to the ground on water rights, and I know that we're okay for a while yet, like for the next 15, 20 years. But could you just share a little bit about what you were thinking, kind of long term on that, and how that could play into our ability to respond to major events like this?
Yeah, okay, so the water rights are going to be a function of growth. So can you hear me okay, or do I need to get closer? Okay, so.
Could you get a little closer?
The water rights are what we're using as a developing into as we add more growth. So it all depends on how fast that growth happens, which is economic forecasting, which if I was really good at it, I wouldn't have to work anymore. I would just live in investments. But generally speaking, if we continue growing at a 2-3% rate, we have 30 years worth of water rights right now. If we grow slower than that for whatever reason, obviously it extends further and further out. So for the near term, 3 decades, we're in good shape. I don't know that we're going to get more water rights. I don't know that that's something that's going to happen, given all the competing demands for water. So that's why it was recommended to the council, and the council's moved in the direction of working on reclaimed water, turning wastewater into reclaimed water, converting septic systems, especially in areas where it's easier to do it or where there's more environmental harm, and collecting that as sewage and turning it into reclaimed water. All those kind of strategies are how you extend the water rights into the future. The key is simply keeping up with the growth. If you create enough infrastructure and you have the water to put into the infrastructure, we should be good. If we don't keep up with the pace of growth and our infrastructure becomes limited, then that P3 number is not big enough by a certain amount every year. And you get more and more often further down the line. You get to stage 3s, maybe even stage 4. So it's important to keep projects on schedule and building what we need as we grow.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Thank you. And can I just ask one more quick question? This is relating to the presentation on maintenance that I meant to ask Zach before. And any of you have any idea what percentage we have left of the asbestos concrete pipes, which are, don't age terribly well and get brittle and cause problems?
Anyone want to guess?
We have miles of it in the ground, but we have 420 miles of pipe in the city of Lacey water system. So our percentage of it is really pretty small. And what we do have in the ground is generally in pretty good shape. We don't have a ton of problems with it. So it is getting replaced. It's just slowly in part of the water improvement projects. These areas are generally the ones that are the areas that are getting improved. So it's what we have. I feel like the city of Lacey's water system is in pretty good shape. It's a fairly new infrastructure overall. And I think we're in a good place with it, and we have the programs in place to replace it. So.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Not like some communities, some of which still have old wood pipes, I hear. Wood water pipes.
Yeah, I'd say that was good news.
Thank you.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? Council members, staff, anyone that we may want to cover before we adjourn? Seeing no reaction, so let's go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. Thanks everyone for participating today. Thank you staff for, Devin, you have your hand up, sorry.
But I was just waving by.
Oh, you're just waving goodbye, okay. All right, well,
Mr.
everyone have a
Brooks,
wonderful day,
Zach, everybody.
and I'll call this meeting adjourned. Take care.